Okay, so a few years ago, if you saw one of these tiny trucks rolling down the road, you probably wouldn't think much about it. You might assume it belonged to a landscaper, maybe a farmer, maybe just some guy who really likes imported vehicles from Japan. But today, these trucks have become the hottest thing on the internet, TikTok, Instagram. Wherever you go, you're gonna find one. Because of this, prices are absolutely skyrocketing. States are arguing whether they're legal, illegal. You can drive them on the road. What are you gonna do with them? But car enthusiasts are obsessed with them. And suddenly, everyone seems to want one. So, why? Why are thousands of Americans spending money on tiny Japanese trucks that have less horsepower than some riding lawnmowers? How did a vehicle originally designed for the narrow Japanese streets become one of the biggest automotive trends of the last decade? Today we're diving into the strange rise of the Kei truck, the tiny truck that became cooler than most full-size pickups. Before we talk about why everyone wants one, we need to understand what a Kei truck really is. The truck Kei comes from Keijidosha, which roughly translates to light automobile. I spent 7 weeks there. I should know how to speak it, but I don't. But after World War II, Japan faced a major problem. People needed transportation. Businesses needed vehicles. But the country had limited space, limited resources, and an ever-growing population that didn't seem to slow down. The Japanese government responded to this by creating a special vehicle category. If manufacturers built cars under strict size and engine limits, owners received tax and registration benefits. The result? Tiny cars, tiny vans, and eventually, tiny trucks. Vehicles like the Honda Acti, Suzuki Carry, Mitsubishi Minicab, that's the one I know how to say, all designed to maximize utility while remaining incredibly small. Well, they worked. Farmers love them, small businesses love them, even the delivery companies in Japan love these vehicles. Because despite their size, they were ridiculously practical. Now, for decades, Kei trucks were mostly unknown in America. Unless you lived in Japan or deeply involved with importing vehicles, you probably never saw one or let alone even heard of one. And then the internet found them. People started posting photos, videos started appearing on YouTube, Instagram, and eventually TikTok. Americans, they realized something, that these little trucks were weird, and the internet loves weird. The same culture that made old Volvos cool. The same culture that turned station wagons into collectibles. The same culture that made people spend ridiculous money on obscure JDM cars. Eventually, they discovered the Kei truck. And once people saw them, they could not stop talking about them. Because, well, it looks like a Hot Wheels. It looks like a toy car. Yet, it functioned like a real truck. And it felt like you were just driving a Power Wheel on the street. Now, let's talk about why their popularity exploded. Because the answer isn't really about Kei trucks, it's more about modern trucks. Look at a pickup truck in the 1990s. Now look at one today. They're fucking gigantic. Modern pickups have become larger, heavier, and even more expensive than ever before. Many full-size trucks, well, they now cost $60, $70, even upwards of $100,000. And some luxury trucks like Rivians and Cybertrucks, if you want to count that a truck, cost more than sports cars now. At the same time, buyers are asking a simple question. Do I actually need all of this? Do I need 4 doors? Do I need 400 horsepower? Do I need a truck the size of a New York City apartment? And for most people, well, the answer was no. They just wanted something useful, simple, and affordable. And that is exactly where the Kei truck fits in the conversation. Here's a dirty little secret of truck ownerships. Most truck owners aren't towing massive trailers every day. Most aren't hauling construction equipment, and most aren't even climbing mountains. Most are driving to work. And going to the grocery store and occasionally moving a large oven for your friend who bought a Honda Fit. A KEI truck can handle many, if not all of those jobs surprisingly well. Need mulch, lumber, landscaping supplies. Well, it all is no problem. Even needed to drive around the farm? Well, that's just perfect. For many owners, they're finally discovering that 90% of truck tasks don't require a massive truck. And that's making people rethink what a truck actually should be. Another major factor of the KEI truck is, well, the price. Or, well, they at least used to be cheap. 5 or 6 years ago, you could find imported KEI trucks for, well, shockingly low prices, sometimes less than a used side-by-side. Enthusiasts quickly noticed, why spend thousands on a giant truck when you could buy a tiny Japanese workhorse for a fraction of the cost? Of course, popularity would change everything, and this is where prices started to climb. Importers started randomly appearing everywhere. Demand just exploded. Even today, many KEI trucks remain dramatically cheaper than modern pickups. And that's attractive to young buyers who are constantly priced out of the automotive market. Let's be honest, but part of the appeal is they're funny looking. Not like a bad funny, but a good funny. You see one parked next to a lifted pickup, it looks like you're standing next to Wemby. You watch one carrying a refrigerator, it looks like the refrigerator's bigger than the truck. Looks like a cartoon driving down the road. People just smile when you see them. They start conversations, they attract attention. In a world where most vehicles are starting to look a lot alike, that's where these trucks stand out. And today, standing out is valuable. Very valuable. Especially online. That's why they're all over YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Hell, even Reddit if you're on there. The internet loves vehicles with personality, and KEI trucks have personality in abundance. Another reason enthusiasts love them is their connection to Japanese car culture. JDM culture has been huge in America for decades now. People just love importing Japanese vehicles, especially Skylines. People just love owning something unique. Having a right-hand drive car, well, that's a talking point. And people love to talk about themselves. People just love driving something nobody else has. KEI trucks fit perfectly into that mindset. They're authentic Japanese vehicles. They're unusual, and unlike many famous JDM cars, they're still relatively affordable. Unfortunately, not everyone can buy a Skyline, no matter how much they want to. A KEI truck, that's achievable for a lot of people because of the price point they sit at. Now, here's where things start to get interesting. As KEI trucks become more popular in the States, some are starting to push back. Questions started emerging about safety, road legality, registration requirements, speed capability. Some states are still embracing them. Others are heavily restricting them. A few even attempted to remove them from roads altogether, but the backlash on that only made these cars more popular. Because let's be honest, no one excites car enthusiasts more than being told you can't drive something. Every state discussed banning KEI trucks, and social media exploded. And suddenly, thousands of people who never cared about these KEI trucks only started to pay attention. This is where we need to start getting honest instead of being blinded by the majesty of the KEI truck. They're not perfect. They're slow. Very slow. Most struggle on highways. They're not particularly comfortable. And safety standards heavily differ from modern American standards. And replacement parts sometimes require patience. If you're expecting modern truck luxury, you're going to be disappointed. People aren't buying these trucks because they're perfect or the best truck you could own. They're buying them because they're charming, simple. Sometimes they're practical. And they remind people that vehicles don't need to be massive, expensive machines packed with technology. So why does everybody want a KEI truck now? Because they're practical, affordable, unique, fun, but most importantly, they represent something we've lost. Modern vehicles keep getting bigger, more expensive, complicated, but KEI trucks are the opposite. They're small, simple, honest, In a world full of oversized trucks and luxury SUVs, it kind of feels refreshing. Whether they're just going to be a passing trend or a permanent staple in American car culture, that remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, this tiny Japanese truck has become one of the most unexpected automotive success stories, well, of the internet age. And honestly, after this, it's pretty easy to see why. Now, would you buy a Kei truck? Or do you think they're just another fad that's gonna pass? Let me know in the comments. And remember, we upload twice a week, so if you want more car stories, make sure you subscribe, like, and comment so I know you like it. But anyways, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.